This session is brought to you by CampaignCouncil.org. CampaignCouncil.org offers capital campaign leadership, planning, and management for nonprofits. CampaignCouncil.org partners with public libraries in North America to raise capital for building projects. Learn more at CampaignCouncil.org.
Hello and welcome to Raising Money Together, the Fund Team Triangle Method and Fundraising for the Lazy. I'm your moderator, Christina McPhillips, and I'm pleased to introduce you to our two speakers today, Lisa Patton and Leanne Myggland-Carter. Before we start, let me introduce you to our speakers. Lisa Patton is convinced that libraries are the key to happiness. Her love of literature and decidedly bossy nature brought her into the library world in 2011, and she has held the position of manager at the Brooks Public Library since 2015. Equally important, Lisa enjoys an immense amount of satisfaction in the fulfillment of her many other roles: mother, wife, Sunday school teacher, hapless gardener, enthusiastic concert attendee, talentless Rubik's Cube fan, and record collector with proud, mediocre musical tastes. And on to Leanne Myggland-Carter, who is the interim director at the Spruce Grove Public Library, where she has worked since 2007. An Oxford-educated scholar, she is a published author and poet and specializes in communication, public relations, and fund development for nonprofits. Her motto is, "Less is always more, except when it comes to fundraising." This guiding principle does remain true when communicating with promoting campaigns to partners, donors, and staff. Succinct information that is clear and consistent is the foundation of success. Leanne lives in Spruce Grove, Alberta, Canada, with her husband, 3 children, and their pet turtle, Franklin. And with that, Leanne, I'll have you get us started. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. In the next 20 or so minutes, I will present a balanced and fair division of duties amongst those who dedicate their time and talents to libraries, those who are governing, our boards and management, operating, our staff and volunteers, and supporting our friends and foundations. I created the Fund Team Triangle, heavy on the fun, with its foundation firmly set upon clear and consistent information. As a tool that includes the roles and responsibilities of governance, operations, and external support, such as friends and foundations, while identifying and emphasizing each of their differences, similarities, and strengths. Differences are important because they specify who does what. Similarities are also important because they specify why we do what we do. Strengths are also important because they specify who does what best, so we best do what we do together. First, let's take a closer look at governance. Who are they and what do they do? They are the decision makers who set goals. They decide how much is needed and why. It is the board and management's fiduciary responsibility to set an attainable and accountable fundraising goal. They are the ones who secure library funding, keep financial records and bank accounts, prepare and manage library budgets, and handle the finances appropriately. So they are the ones who can decide how much money needs to be raised and can explain and be accountable for why the funds are necessary. They are supporters who approve plans. They support how to achieve the fundraising goal. It is the board and management's leadership responsibility to approve an action plan that has clear and consistent key messages, roles and duties, and timelines and measures. Boards and management create policies and procedures that ensure and enable delivery of public library service that legally operates within their community and prioritizes services, programs, and resources. They are influencers who solicit funds. They influence those who expect to be approached. It is the board and management's advocacy responsibility to seek donations from community leaders. Board and trustees are appointed by local government to serve as members who who have full control of the library, and therefore they are in a position to make connections that others in the organization may not be comfortable with or even expected to do. The strengths of government and management are they have decision-making ability, they are recognized in a leadership role, and they are connected to and comfortable engaging with stakeholders, including government officials, industry leaders, business owners, and organization directors. An example is during our most recent Library Giving Day campaign, the board decided and management agreed that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, April was not a good month to ask people in our community for money. Staffing was limited, times were uncertain. Therefore, they worked with operations to appeal to the Friends of the Spruce Grove Public Library for a larger commitment to the campaign. The communication was clear, the action was easy, and the outcome was positive. Now let's zoom in on staff and volunteers. Who are they and what do they do? Or more accurately, what don't they do? They are the creators who design an action or project plan that works for them and will attain the goal by identifying who is available. Capacity is very important. Who is qualified, knowing what skills are available, and who is assigned what action will be taken and by whom. They are the ones who know the ins and outs of their library best. They are the grassroots and are the doers. Therefore, staff and volunteers are the ones boards and management depend on to make suggestions, brainstorm scenarios, and decide on action, well, all the time, remaining adaptable to the ever-constant presence of changes in direction. They are equipped, skilled, and innovative executors who launch and carry out the plan that includes marketing using pre-approved key messages, assigned duties and tasks, and relevant data collection. They are also evaluators who are most qualified to report on the overall fundraising activities from start to finish. They will critique accomplishments, examine challenges, and collect outcomes. Staff in particular are comfortable with, and used to, reviewing how things went. Here at Spruce Grove Public Library, we call it the stop, start, continue, improve method. If it didn't work, stop doing it that way. If something was missing in the process, start it up or add it next time. Continue to do what went well and improve upon what could have gone better. For example, in preparation for Library Giving Day 2020, the staff created a detailed marketing strategy, outline of activities that included volunteers, and they created statistical spreadsheets ready to receive and track donations and donation activity. This plan was presented to the board's advocacy committee, who in turn asked the board for its approval as an official fundraising campaign. Everyone was, almost literally, on the same page. Staff and volunteers have decided that the business of libraries makes them happy, just as much as being a library user. They have the natural and learned abilities to know what to do and the best ways to do it. They are the ones entrusted with being the face of our libraries, and they represent us better than anyone else. Their strengths are countless, but to name only three, they have organizational and coordination abilities. They are recognized as experts in their fields, and they are connected to industry colleagues and peers, groups and schools, teachers and students, patrons and visitors, and the community at large. Now, to focus on friends and foundations. Who are they and what do they do? Again, we may ask, what don't they do? They are organizers who take the board-approved staff-developed plan to its members and assign within their own groups who does what. They are mobilizers who hit the road and often hit the road running in their eagerness to promote the cause. They raise awareness like no one else can about community need. They are advocators who encourage contacts and networks to donate and share donation opportunities by forwarding the information and expanding the marketing and promotional reach exponentially. The people who choose to share their valuable spare time and diverse talents can be the most influential advocates because their devotion comes from a place of a sincere gratitude and appreciation of what libraries mean to a community, and that without library services, programs, and resources, well, they don't even want to think about that. What they think about is, how do we get more library to more people? Again, impossible to count all of their strengths, but three important ones include how quick they are to act, the vast variety of their community connections, and how very self-sufficient they are. They can take on a task or a challenge and carry it out. A very recent example for us is a social media campaign and news release that the Friends of the Spruce Grove Public Library coordinated in response to the threat of reduced funding mid-year. The public listened to them and submitted hundreds of emails to our local government, attended virtual council meetings, and appealed to other cardholders in their families and friendship circles. Their voices are strong and loud and effective. Thanks to their efforts, we have a community now prepared to give, even during a pandemic, because they know now, at this time, more than ever, library service is essential, and they are prepared to stand up and donate to maintain our current levels of service. In review, a fair division of duties amongst those who dedicate their time and talents to libraries includes those who are responsible for governing, boards and management, operating staff and volunteers, and supporting friends and foundations. I created the Fund Team Triangle method for 3 reasons: to identify differences, similarities, and strengths. I have already listed and discussed differences and strengths, so here are the similarities amongst these groups. They all are dedicated to their community, passionate about library service, and prepared to do what needs to be done. The preparation is key. As described in the examples I gave, everyone must feel confident that they are prepared, and they will be, because preparation is a natural result of clarity and consistency. A concrete plan created by staff and including volunteers gave the board and management the information they needed to approve public messaging, agreed upon activities, and recognized interactions that included the wide network associated with the Friends. Once everyone knows what their position on the team or triangle is, be it governance, operations, or external support, such as the Friends and foundations, everyone understands their role. They are aware and comfortable with what it is they are meant to do. Once everyone practices what they know, all will deliver the same messages about the same goal. Once everyone completes what they commit to do, all will celebrate the success, because another similarity is everyone wants to be the one who helps surpass the fundraising goal. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lisa Patton, and I'm so pleased to be here with you today. I'm the manager of Brooks Public Library, which is located in Brooks, Alberta, Canada. I was able to attend last year's International Public Library Fundraising Conference because it was held in Calgary, which is just 2 hours away from my small city. I feel very fortunate to have had that experience to attend because it inspired what I'm here to talk to you about today. I'm going to share with you the small fundraiser that we were able to throw together. And, well, don't tell anybody, okay? But I made everyone else do all the hard work. So here it is, fundraising for the lazy. All right, let me give you a quick lay of the land. In 2017, Brooks Public Library moved into a new library facility. And of course, that came with a lot of fundraising. We had lots and lots of wonderful support. Even though our community was struggling financially, the economy was not great at the time. Because we were in the fortunate position of renting a purpose-built facility from our city, we were only fundraising for furnishings, and donors were primarily medium and small business owners and lots of individuals as well. So here is a quick picture just for fun. This is what our new library looks like. I like any opportunity to show it off because I think it's beautiful. We wanted to keep that ball of donations rolling. We wanted to maintain our sponsors with some sort of annual fundraiser, but we were worried that we would fatigue our small community. On top of that, it seemed really hard to carve out a specific date between all the other galas, runs, dinners, tournaments, and auctions. And even if we could find that niche, if we were going to create a fundraising event that could be done from year to year, well, it needed to be straightforward, enjoyable, and somehow the nature of that event needed to recruit its own participants because I don't have a lot of time to be running around convincing people to participate. I kept thinking back on the silent auction that was part of our dinner theater fundraiser we'd held. Everyone was so generous. And these are people that show support for everything. I'm not naive enough to think that my donation request letter or an event invitation is the only one that lands on their desk. I decided to talk to 3 potential participants. These were 3 business owners who I know they get hit up for everything in our community. They're influential too. Other business owners are watching them. In each meeting, I told them what was on my mind. I said, "You're so involved in the community and you always give so generously. The library has benefited from that in the past and it's so valuable to us. Is there anything that we can do to support your generous nature?" The answer I got across the board, every single meeting, they said, "We love to support the library and other worthy efforts in the community. But it doesn't sell our product. We need to be making money to donate." And I was stumped. How could the library contribute to making their businesses more successful so that they in turn could continue supporting the library? It wasn't until I was sitting in on a great session last year at this conference. I was scribbling away on my notepad as Logan Isserman described her tattoo flash fundraiser. So neat. For those of you who weren't there, Logan detailed how her library collaborated with a tattoo studio in town to raise some funds. The library managed the advertising and the bookings for a 1 day of simple preset designs. The tattoo artists were skilled and they managed their supplies. I was so inspired. We could do this. Well, maybe not tattoos, but we could do something like this. So here are the elements that I had coming together. First, we have our wonderful community full of amazing businesses and artists. They had already demonstrated their support for the library. We just needed them to come together again in the small ways that can add up so significantly. Number 2, those businesses needed to be successful in order to be generous. And that can be hard when driving to the next city over to get what you need from the big box stores is just so tempting. I also had a little bit of advertising cash that I'd set aside for an awareness campaign. We were planning that to coincide with Canadian Library Month in October, so I had that small resource. And let's not forget the one last resource that I had on my hands, which is the skill that is at the root of all libraries. Connecting people to the information they need. Librarians are not the authors and the publishers of the content that they curate, but we can help you get your hands on what you need. And we can definitely apply that skill here. I went back to one of those 3 businesses, our community's only locally owned coffee shop, and tried to explain my idea to Sandy, the owner. It wasn't even a fully formed pitch yet. And it took the 2 of us a little while of batting it around to try and come up with a plan. And what we finally landed on was a mutually beneficial deal. She would identify a menu item and market it as a Library Lovers special for the month of October. And the Library Month advertising funds would be used for a campaign with the slogan, "Support local, because local supports the library." That advertising would also make reference to participating organizations. Now, Sandy chose to advertise that a portion of sales on her item would go back to the library. As I approached others, more and unique ideas emerged. One shop decided to offer a store-wide discount if you made a donation at their register. The staff at a sandwich shop in our industrial area donated all their tips during the month. Our local A&W finished every order taken by asking, "Would you like to round up to the nearest dollar and donate to our library?" The local sign shop added library branded promotional items to their website. I don't know how well you can see this slide, but it was really neat to see them create all of this for us. They promised 50% of their proceeds back to the library. There were special sales at the local brewery, Facebook auctions on handmade items, and even a coffee bean sale at the bulk store that offered suggested book pairings, all with the promise of passing along proceeds to the library. This one is my favorite. A new bakery in town made these adorable cupcake toppers. They're tiny edible books made of printable wafer and icing sheets and edible inks. All of our participants were amazingly creative and generous. The library took the promotional funds and ran advertising that told people where to go for great deals in support of Library Month. We expressed gratitude for the community's support and reminded folks to support local because local supports the library. Here's the thing, we were going to run advertising that month anyways, but now we have other people invested in getting our message out. The additional time I put into it was limited to a couple of in-person visits and some phone calls. Now, I had a ton of feedback from the community. They were telling me that the library had never been so visible, that the ads came off graciously, and that the general goodwill in the community seemed higher than ever. This is great news. We couldn't have asked for a better response. Now, I will pause for a moment and tell you about one weird thing. We did hear a rumor that a local business that we hadn't approached and who had not been in contact with us was running a Library Month promotion, but we never did receive any proceeds from them. But I got to tell you, I'm not at all offended. I mean, it's just more advertising, and we would have liked them to pass along the proceeds like they were promising. We would have liked them to let us know that they were participating so we could include them in our advertising. But they're taking advantage of our activities. Didn't harm us in any way. It just added to our visibility. So that's great. And we're, yeah, like I said, not offended at all. I also got a phone call from a lady whose business hadn't participated, but she was asking if we were planning to do it again and could she be involved next time. So people were approaching me. Yay, self-recruiting fundraiser. We had wanted a straightforward, enjoyable, and self-recruiting fundraiser, and I think we've hit on something great. Here's some tips and tasks for accomplishing a support local fundraiser of your own. All right, first, submit a letter to your city council asking them to acknowledge your Library Month or Library Lovers Week or whatever you're going to call it. Remember to invite them to the library to talk about ways that libraries can help support their goals for the community too. You can't have too many friends, and you should never skip an opportunity to reach out to somebody. Number two, define some parameters. You may want to start with only a week campaign. Maybe you'll limit businesses you approach to just your surrounding neighbors. You might choose, rather than accepting proceeds, you might encourage people to give a flat donation, or maybe you'll let the businesses decide. And as you decide these factors, you're going to want to type up a concise donation request letter. This is the type of project that might take a little effort for folks to wrap their heads around, and you're going to need a little practice with that pitch. So having a letter in hand will make an in-person visit go much smoother, and you can also send that letter out as an email or a follow-up email. Remember too, as these creative participants start crafting their ideas, they'll need something structured to refer back to. So these request letters are so important. Number 4, start designing your advertising. Your participants are invested in this, so make it easier on yourself by providing them with a poster. It could have a logo, and it should have some information about other participants. Remember, you want everybody to be cross-promoting, and that takes a lot off your plate too. And it's not just lip service. Actually promote the local businesses. Radio, newspaper ads, billboards, social media. You can also approach LED sign owners. And don't forget that most libraries have their own publications too. There's a lot of avenues for getting those messages out, and use them all. And when it's something like this, where so many businesses are benefiting, they're going to have their avenues of promotion as well. Recruit those. Make sure everyone's participating in every way they can. Well, I hope that my presentation today has helped someone out there to feel inspired the way I was at the session last year. At least I hope that it's a little less intimidating for those newbies who want to jump into fundraising. Thank you so much.
Well, hi, Leanne.
Hi. I'm going to reset my, there we go.
Great to see you. And then Lisa, let me bring you up too. Hi there.
Hello.
Good to see you both. So thanks so much for being on with us today.
No problem.
So it sounds like we've got a lot of great questions, and I'd like to preface what we're going to say by letting you know that people are really interested in some virtual fundraising. That was one of the questions that kind of came up before we got started. So if, as we're going through this, you have any ideas for that, please let us know. So one of the main things that we got for a question was, Lisa, you said that you had a small advertising budget. What did you use that on? Could you be specific?
Primarily radio promotion. Here in our community, we have a small radio station that you are
turned up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're perfect, and I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Primarily radio promotions in our community. We have one radio station, two radio stations, and they're local and they're well listened to. And we have a little spot where we go on once a week and get to promote the library. And then we also have ongoing radio ads during the week. So mostly that. We were also able to source a little bit later into our campaign. A local company contacted us and said, "We sponsor a billboard outside of our business. Would you like to throw something up there for the remainder of your campaign?" So that was great. We had a lot of people willing to support us.
Okay, great. Leanne, let me ask you a question. So I know that before the session, somebody did ask about virtual fundraising, and we recorded this session, I want to say it was about 2.5 weeks ago, and a lot of things have, of course, changed since then. Could you expand upon what you've been doing virtually and how you might adjust some of the things that you've talked about for the virtual world we're living in now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, our meetings, of course, with each other, our team effort, the triangle effort, continued using Zoom. So thankfully, we were able to still continue to meet, and the outcome of those meetings became how can we transition, just as our staff had done with the programs, how can we transition our fundraising efforts and plans to virtual platform, considering this is not over, so we want to be prepared for the future as well. It's our library's 60th anniversary next year. What does that look like? So some of the things that we focused on that are already successful is creating challenges and online. So action-based ways to bring to people's attention that a little goes a long way. So for example, one of the actions or challenges was, you know, grab your kids, grab your family, and see how much loose change you can find, and then go on and donate that amount using our Canada Helps link. So that was one. Another was called Skip the Chips, and I have teenagers, so it was kind of a call out to the youth that use our library that, you know, don't go buy a bag of chips today or another snack that you like. Instead, talk to your parents about making a donation. So all the way up to, you know, $100 suggestion. So it was $3 for the change challenge, and then all the way up to 100, which, you know, just said this would support these services if you're so inclined. So those specific calls to action have been really successful.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. That actually shows a lot of creativity, and I think that that's something that anybody can do, and some little ideas I know I personally hadn't thought of. Let me switch gears a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa, actually, somebody has a good question for you that's just come in. So they are wanting to know, they love the radio promotion idea. Sometimes radio promotion is not cheap. Do the radio companies allow you to come on their show with zero cost to you? Did you have any other inside relationship that would have helped make this more cost effective?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we did. Our radio, so specifically our radio interviews that we do every Wednesday morning with the station was kind of grandfathered in. Years and years ago, there was a wonderful host that was a real big proponent of library services, and so had started inviting the library in, and we've just been able to hang on to that through managerial changes and stuff like that. They also do give us a not-for-profit rate on our advertising, which ends up being quite good for us. So that helped us out. Did that answer the question, or was there a second part to that question?
No, that was perfect. That was really good. Love it. And okay, so another question that's just come in is actually about love your, or somebody said they loved your support your local initiative. And that's a really good idea for COVID, because a lot of people with COVID-19 are talking about how to keep your money local, how small businesses need you, how some of them may never recover. So I suppose I wanted to say, I think that's probably something that the audience could use virtually.
Absolutely. In fact, in the consideration of this environment we're in right now, we've been discussing which of our fundraising opportunities do we want to emphasize this year. We want to be sensitive to businesses that aren't being so successful, and this is the one, to support local, because local supports the library. This is the one that we can in good conscience go out and say, hey, give the library your money, but do it through the businesses, the ones that we need to support, the ones that are struggling a little bit right now.
Mm-hmm. So. Excellent. I think that's really great. I think these have been very interesting and unique ideas that anybody can do at home. I especially love the finding the change one, and the way, Leanne, that you brought young future donors into the mix. So I want to say that I very much appreciate both of your time today. We so enjoyed having you. We had about 100 people on this session, so it's great to see your peers and share these local ideas. We appreciate everything. Thanks to our friends in Canada. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.